Imagine your husband cheats on you, dies in an accident, and instead of peace, his family decides to destroy what's left of your life. Now imagine, those same people send their church friends to publicly harass your daughters in the middle of a farmer's market. Well, that happened to me. But they never expected that I'd use the very same church to completely destroy their reputation. If you've ever dreamed of seeing a bully get exactly what they deserve, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you love stories where justice finally gets served. And buckle up, because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories I've ever told. I'm a 46-year-old single mom with 2 daughters, 17 and 15. Last year, my husband, ex-husband, died in an accident, and while most widows would be grieving, I was stuck dealing with a storm of betrayal, secrets, and toxic in-laws. See, before he died, I discovered he was cheating on me. Not only that, he fathered 2 children with the other woman, and when both he and that woman died in the accident, those 2 little boys were left orphans. Now, here's where it gets worse. My ex's parents, my former in-laws, decided they wanted everything. They wanted custody of my daughters. They wanted to move into my house, and they wanted to rewrite history to make themselves look like the victims. But my daughters, they were the ones who found out about the affair in the first place. They saw firsthand the betrayal. They've been traumatized, and they're in therapy. The last thing they want is forced family time with the people who enabled their father's lies. But my in-laws couldn't accept that. Fast forward to my youngest daughter's birthday. We were at the weekend farmer's market. Fresh produce, baked goods, chocolates. I gave her some money and told her, "Go spoil yourself, sweetheart." After an hour, she called me, crying, panicked. I rushed over with my older daughter, and what do I see? 6 older church women had surrounded my baby girl, 6 against 1. They were wagging their fingers in her face, calling her unchristian, accusing her of abandoning her poor orphaned brothers. They told her she was dishonoring her grandparents by refusing to spend time with them. My daughter was shaking, tears streaming down her face. I felt my blood boil. I stepped between them and my child, my voice shaking but sharp as a knife. Back, away from my daughter. I sent my oldest to pay for the sweets and take her sister to the car. Meanwhile, these women turned their venom on me. "You're supposed to obey your in-laws," one of them sneered. "You're a terrible Christian wife," another spat. I laughed bitterly. "Christian, you think harassing a crying child makes you holy?" The shouting got so loud that market staff asked all of us to leave, and as I walked to my car, those women followed me, like vultures circling roadkill. That night, after I finally got my girls calmed down, I logged onto Facebook, and sure enough, there it was, a massive post in my in-laws' church group, written by none other than my ex-mother-in-law. It was a sob story straight out of a Hallmark movie. She painted herself and her husband as poor, abandoned grandparents, claimed we'd left them homeless and penniless, said my daughters refused to acknowledge their baby brothers, and the cherry on top? She wrote that the affair partner, the woman my husband cheated with, was actually a surrogate, that I was barren, and when I cruelly rejected the boys for being male, I tore the family apart. I sat there shaking, my hands clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. To accuse me of that? To weaponize my daughter's pain? That was it. That was the breaking point. Now, if you know anything about this church, there's one thing they do not tolerate: cheating. So, if my ex-mother-in-law wanted to weaponize the church against me, fine. I would weaponize the truth against her. See, because I was in the middle of divorcing my ex when he died, I had receipts, photos of him and the affair partner, texts between them, messages where his parents admitted they knew and even encouraged it. screenshots of them harassing my daughters, calling them bastards, even blaming them for their father's death. I had everything, and now I was going to turn all of it into the perfect revenge. The next day, I went to a print shop, paid extra for glossy, high-quality prints. Then, at home, I spent hours crafting something truly evil. I made binders, dozens of them, neat, professional, disguised to look exactly like the church's little hymn packets. And when you opened the first page, a giant photo of my ex making out with his mistress right in our living room, their faces crystal clear. Below it, the words, ex-husband's name and mistress's name, a love story. Inside, every incriminating photo, every disgusting text, every message where my in-laws bullied my girls. That Sunday, I drove to the church, calm, focused, almost giddy. I walked straight to the back table where they keep the hymn packets, placed my binders neatly in the stack, and walked out. By the time service ended, the gossip mill was on fire. The Facebook group exploded. My ex was called every name under the sun. The mistress was trashed, and my in-laws, people were furious at them for enabling it all and for attacking my daughters. The pastor had to step in just to stop the comments from getting too explicit. And my ex-mother-in-law, the woman who'd sent her church army after my child, she was shamed, publicly, repeatedly, until she and her husband had no choice but to leave the church altogether. Her final Facebook post, a pathetic rant about how no one cares for the elderly anymore, and how she wished her great son was still alive to take care of her. The irony? That great son she defended so viciously was the very man who betrayed us all. When I think back to that moment, watching my daughters finally smile after weeks of being harassed, it felt like breathing fresh air after drowning. Justice wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, it was quiet, precise, devastating, and best of all, it was permanent. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't screaming or fighting, it's the truth, because lies can only survive in the dark, and when you shine a light on them, they burn away everything they touch. If this story gave you chills or made you secretly fist pump at the thought of justice finally being served, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And don't forget to subscribe, because I've got more jaw-dropping stories where karma does its finest work.